Hey guys, welcome to the studio. Today, just me in the studio working on music, no business stuff, straight to music making. I got 3 songs that I want to finish in the next couple of days. I'll share as much as possible about the making of them. Today we're starting with one called Underwater. Has a nice vocal, it's a collaboration remix type of song. The main elements are already all there. And it's now about making them even better, like spicing them up a little. And there's one technique that I would love to discuss a little more in detail, how to get your synthesizer sounds to cut through the mix even more. But first intro, while the intro's playing, the song that today's video is all about.
Can't help but take it farther. I'm breathing underwater.
I already showed in another video how I layered the synthesizers. Really quick, just for you to fill in, the main plug sound consists of a couple of layers. First of all, the main plug. And it really does 90% of the sound. Then there's an additional layer on top. And I basically did the same for the bass line, the main sound. And then an additional one. Just for that bit crushing and stereo width, both together. And so far I haven't done a lot. I just layered them, I choose the right elements, and now it's about like a step in between like sound designing, selecting the right samples, the right sounds, the right melodies, and the actual mixing, and that's enhancing the sound. So I already started adding a little bit of distortion, for example, onto that added main sound, this one right here. So let's maybe remove everything. Sounds very boring, very standard, but if you then add like a little bit of EQing, which is mostly just a low cut, a decapitator to have that like distortion on top, sample delay to make it wide, and then reverb and delay, it actually sounds way more interesting. I still have the feeling it sounds a little dull. It could cut a little more through the mix. And yes, I could now start compressing it, but then I also change a lot of the dynamic of the sound, and it's already an artificial synthesizer sound, so there isn't a lot of dynamic. It's not a voice, it's not an instrument that you record, it's a synthesizer. It's pretty flat. There is not much that needs to be compressed. So to kind of brighten it up and push it a little more through the mix, make it cut through the mix without masking anything else, I usually try out an envelope shaper. This means something where you can increase, decrease the attack. I mean, yes, you could go back to Omnisphere and do it there, but sometimes you already reach the limit. I think here in Omnisphere, I already set it up on the attack. Like I can't make the attack shorter. There is no way. So to emphasize, for example, the attack even more, you need an envelope shaper. And I personally started using, since a couple of months, Imprint, which is something very unique. It's actually a multi-band transient shaper. So let's maybe first start out with like a very classic transient shaper. I think the one by Logic is just perfect to demonstrate that. You see right here, you can, for example, increase the gain on the attack, and you can, of course, take away of the release or introduce more release. So basically, attack and release are controllable. You can add attack, you can take attack away. Let's maybe really quick listen to this. You can definitely hear it's increasing the attack. On the release it doesn't do a whole lot because the sound is very short, but of course you could change the timing and this way also get the release sound out a little more. With imprint you have even more control because you got like a multi-band option added to it. So you can choose 3 bands, can move around the slider left, right, and this way change the band. I wish they would show the crossover frequency somewhere. I don't know if you can somehow access it, but still you can do it by hearing. And this way, for example, if you have a really broad sound, a main big room synthesizer sound that goes over a lot of frequencies, you have more control because you can only increase, for example, the attack on the higher frequencies. So let's do that really quick. Gives everything a lot more bite. That's exactly what you need to make sounds cut through the mix and be very present. Of course, if there is something in your mix that is too upfront, you could do the opposite and just dial it down. You can just lower and increase every frequency band. It's basically just filtering the top. And there are even like advanced settings, so you can even change the width and the smoothness in percentage and between fast, medium and slow, and then dial in attack and release separately in the more advanced kind of part. And yeah, you got the multi-band option on top and can also filter each and every kind of band. And then of course you got your master controls. So it's really just like a transient shaper with that little twist that it has multi-band built into it. You could even try it out, and I'm actually using it there way more than on a single sound, because for a single sound it doesn't make a lot of sense, because for example that plug is in a very narrow frequency spot. But if you use it, for example, on a drum bus, this can actually help a lot, because this way you can tweak, for example, all of the high frequency parts differently to the low end, and there you definitely have an advantage and a time saver for like bus grouping, summing stuff. On the master, I personally wouldn't use it because it's then like way too radical. I don't see any like scenario where you need to increase all of your transients on the master for every single element. That probably wouldn't sound that good, but for individual parts or groups it's really a nice tool and can make the difference. So let's maybe try and make this added layer sound as good as possible. So I think that's what is necessary. That is exactly what I'm missing. Let's listen to the before and after. It sounds a little thinner and it sounds a lot more, it has a lot more attack, and it's fulfilling more the purpose that this layer has. Because we already have like the main sound. Which sounds absolutely nice, I love it, but it's like in a mixing sense it doesn't cut through enough. So I added the layer. And in the entire mix it's still not enough, so to give that layer that is there to give it more bite due to the distortion and more attack due to just being like a short pluggy synth sound on top, I just increase it even more, thinning it out a little and giving it more attack. The thinning is to just not make it interfere with the other sound, and more attack to just make it hit a lot harder. Sounds, in my opinion, a tiny bit better, maybe 3–4%, but like this coloring stage before I start the actual mixing is usually very important because it gives every element character, a distinct like position and function within the mix to maybe cut through, maybe to be a pad in the background to fill the ambient. Like there are certain roles that need to be fulfilled, and this really helps me to push it a little more even into that direction. So don't forget to, whenever you make something, to think about if it needs more attack, more release, less attack, less release, and then just use an envelope shaper. If you're interested in this one, which has like this multi-band thing, or maybe your DAW already has one, I'll link that one down below in the description. I think it was very, very inexpensive. It's just like a little tool that might help you to squeeze out 4 or 5% more out of your mix. I'll actually now add another one to the bass top layer and also to the drum bus, and see if I can enhance this entire drop of the song. So all done with like trying to squeeze out a little more. I used it on the drum bus, didn't like it as much. It was like too much attack, too much cutting through, because I think here like the attack of the pluck sound should be like the main star of that drop and be like in the foreground. The drums don't really need that much. So I also just used it on the top layer of the bass. And there the multi-band aspect is actually really helpful. Let's do it first without. And here it really helps because this bass line, I don't want to affect the low end. The low end is fine. It works really well with the kick. I don't want to increase attack in the low end. I don't need the low end to cut through. I just want it to meld together with the kick. We'll probably add some sidechaining later on. Still didn't do that. That's like more a mixing thing. And I just increased a little bit of that like bit crushing in the top part. And I just added around like 80% up here in the higher frequency part. It gives it more like top end because it's increasing the frequencies in the topper spectrum with more attack and snappiness. And I actually like that grittiness of that like bit crushed bass to sit on top of the foundation of the other bass, and both together just work really nice. It's like a subtle bit crushed, very left right stereo kind of thing, but I actually like it. Makes the bass line a little more interesting. Really, again, something very subtle, but these subtle things on like, what is it now, 46 tracks, if you do that on each and every single one, it will improve your mixing by a lot. So first, select the right samples, the right sounds, try to improve them, distortion, envelope shaping, reverb, delay, all of these kind of effect things that shape the sounds further and give them their role in a mix. And then the next step would be actually mixing, but that's maybe something for another video. So thanks a lot for watching. If you're interested in that envelope multi-band thing, it's linked down below in the description, and we'll see us tomorrow back again for another video here in the studio.